Amber Alert Podcast.
Welcome, everyone. Episode 9, Amber Alert Podcast. I am hanging in there. I apologize if I sound tired or not quite myself. I'm working on it. So I'll try not to be, not, I usually try to be animated. That's my goal for today because I'm definitely not feeling it. But I will do my best. So we are going to talk about, so current news is going to trickle into something that I guess is probably considered a conspiracy theory. I don't know if it's true or not, but we're going to talk about it and also talk about we're not really going to get too much into like any UFOs or things like that. And I know last episode was like slightly disturbing with cattle mutilations. I think this one will be more disturbing because we're going to talk about pedophiles, which I think is the most heinous thing there is. I can look at a dead cow, but I don't. It's hard for me to tolerate people doing awful things to kids. So we are going to get into that. So I'm going to issue a warning now. I probably wouldn't watch with kids once we get to that part. And if you don't want to watch either or listen, I don't blame you. I'm not putting up like super disturbing pictures or anything, but there are some paintings and things that are certainly disturbing. And then just the whole topic is unnerving. So before we get to that, we're going to start off with the news. And I don't know how long this one will take. I'm going to try to keep it around an hour, but no guarantees. So let's get started. All right. So this is talking about the whole Cybertruck explosion outside of the Trump Hotel. So this is the good old cat turd said, I don't believe a single word the FBI is saying about Matthew, whatever his last name is, and the Cybertruck incident. The entire narrative makes absolutely zero sense to me. That's fair. From the paper passport and paper ID miraculously surviving the explosion and a fire so intense his body was burned beyond recognition, that definitely doesn't seem to add up, does it? To him supposedly shooting himself right before he was going to blow himself up anyway, huh? To what his family is saying about him, to his released recent text, which doesn't fit the mindset of someone about to do this sort of thing, and on and on and on. BS meter off the charts. Yeah, I agree. There are definitely things that certainly don't add up about that whole situation. Are we going to find out what the truth is? Maybe, but who knows how long that will take. I don't think I have it in here, but I did see a picture of his ID. So like you blow up there's an explosion and your body's burned, awfully burned, and then your ID is just somehow intact. Like, yeah, and then the whole thing with how they the similarities between this one and then the thing that happened in New Orleans and the Fort Bragg and the Trump shooter. So it's like they're a little bit like. Plus, I saw a video, and this is not the Cybertruck guy, but the one in New Orleans. His apartment was like a reporter went in. So you're telling me that this wasn't taped off and this reporter just got in. The place was scrubbed clean, like scrubbed. And then she's like, oh, let's go into his bedroom. And then there's like the Quran that's open to a certain passage. And it's like, no one does that. Like people that read the Bible, usually you read it and then you shut it. You might even zip up the case or whatever. You don't like leave it open to a certain verse usually. So too many things about it that just seemed odd. So who knows what happened there? I'm sure we'll get more information as time goes on. Let's keep moving. All right. Leaked emails from the Cybertruck bomber, Matthew, whatever, claim that drones on the East Coast are using gravity manipulation, a technology allegedly exclusive to China and the United States. He accuses the U.S. of hiding its weaponization of exotic technology and warns that the drones seen across the country are hostile Chinese aircraft launched from the Atlantic in a show of force. This guy describes these drones as an unprecedented national security threat capable of carrying unlimited payloads and suggests China is preparing for an attack on the East Coast. Interesting. Is that true? I don't know. It seems like Here's the problem, though, with the current administration that we have. They are in bed with China. And, you know, let's go back to the whole Chinese spy balloon. When was that? Like a couple years ago or so? And they let it fly all over the place before they finally shot it down. So was that actually from China and they allowed it because of the relationship they have that they're not supposed to have? Or, you know, is it our own government that wants us to think it's another country? But, you know, because the thing is, like, the drones and stuff flying over like an Air Force base, I'm pretty sure you can't just fly unidentified things over an Air Force base. So you're telling me they had to like ground their flights and, like, you know, close the area while these things are flying overhead? That doesn't really make sense. Like, wouldn't you do something about that? If you're the military, you're more than capable of shooting something down that's foreign. So I you know, I don't really know what to think. That's just what someone said. So let's move on. All right. Russia has taken control of Ukraine's largest lithium deposit, a resource potentially worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The strategic moves comes after Ukraine cut off Russian gas. Putin has now outsmarted BlackRock, just as he outmaneuvered the Rothschilds last year in a major oil company deal. Tell you what, Putin is not my least favorite person. He stands up to all the right people. Like, I'm not saying he's a good guy, but if I'm picking sides, I might pick Putin just for the simple fact of the things he's willing to do that go against your elites and whatnot. So, plus, I probably trust Russia more than Ukraine. Ukraine's, like, you know, the most corrupt country there is. So, he's doing some good things. I'll say that. He may be a dictator, but he's doing some good things. A broken clock is right like twice a day, right? All right, moving on. Oh, I'm sure you guys saw this. Joe Biden awarded Hillary Clinton and George Soros with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Could you have picked any worse people? Okay, the both of them. Never mind. I'm not going to say what I think. All right. Representative Anna Paulina Luna calls for a ban on seed oils, high fructose corn syrup, and other highly processed additives. What a G. I appreciate so much everything that she's doing. That's such good news. That's an improvement to everybody's health. And you know what? She's too pretty to be a politician. Most of them are awful looking. She's doing the Lord's work. So more power to her. All right. Congress has passed the Laken Riley Act to hold illegal criminals accountable, with 159 Democrats voting against it. Yeah, they literally did that. Where is, maybe it's this one. Yeah. So Republicans, can we at least deport all the rapists and pedophiles? 158 or 159 Democrats said no. Why would you vote against that? What is your argument to vote against something like that? If you come into this country illegally, first of all, you're not allowed to do that because it's illegal. Second of all, you commit a violent, even heinous crime, and we're not allowed to deport you. I guess moral argument do you have to vote against that? I would want to, like, sit those people down and, like, put a camera in their face and say, explain yourself, because they probably are pedophiles. And so anyway. All right. RFK Jr. has reportedly secured the votes needed to be confirmed as HHS secretary. Let's go. Good news, because bye-bye, like we just talked about the corn syrup and stuff. And the, I can't say that word. I'll get kicked off. The experimental and harmful pokey pokies that are, have been unchecked and ushered out to masses of people. And then the effects have been lied about and covered up. So RFK is not having it. And I'm a big fan. Don't let him touch the environmental things, but let him go nuts with the health stuff. Trump said something like that, which is good. I like that too. He's not just like, he's like, again, he hasn't taken office yet, but it's like from the onset, he's like, certain people, yeah, I'll point you to do this, but it's because your policies or whatever you want to do is good in this department, not good over here. So you're not going to touch that part. So that's good. Like, he's not just, he is showing an iron spine that you didn't necessarily see in 2016. Yes, he was still like, alpha male personality and whatnot, but he was not the he's not the person that he is now. And so I think what the media did to him, and the lawsuits and the one witch hunt after another, all of that stuff has only turned him into like more of a warrior than he ever was. So it's actually probably a blessing in a lot of ways that he didn't take office in 2020, because now for 4 years it's going to be amazing. All right, let's keep moving. All right, in the final days of his presidency, Joe Biden releases 11 Yemeni terrorists from Guantanamo Bay. Why would you do that? Another question, why would you do that? He should be at Guantanamo Bay, or at least in a nursing home. Why would you do such thing? It's like, again, you are actively trying to destroy the country. It's like your last ditch effort to mess things up as much as you possibly can before you're out, which thank God is coming very soon. All right. Biden is taking a nap at Jimmy Carter's funeral. This is from today. Honest to God, I don't really know how he's still alive, or at least like sitting upright and walking. I know he can't walk very well, but he's on his way out. All right. This needs to be criminalized. Yesterday was a big day for my beautiful daughter. Whatever that says. She got her hormone blocker. We were all super stoked. Okay. You also deserve to be at Guantanamo Bay or someplace worse if you're doing this to your kid. Not only should it be criminalized, but like you probably deserve the death penalty and to be tortured before that. How dare you? That is sick. And they wonder why the suicide rate among transgenders is like north of 40%. It may even be higher now. I don't know. And that's a kid. That's a kid. If you're over 18 and you're mentally ill and you want to change your gender, no one can legally stop you. But a child, those parents should be beaten. And yeah, moving on. All right. Fetterman, listen, this guy was, remember when he got elected and everyone's like, I can't believe Pennsylvania actually elected like a literal ogre, and everyone's like, I can't believe how stupid he is, he doesn't know anything. And then he had that car wreck, and I'm telling you, it fixed things in his brain because he's been different ever since that. So look, he says if Democrats can't get 7 votes in the Senate to pass the Lake and Riley Act, then that's the reason we lost. He has literally been like more. Remember, it was like him or Dr. Oz, and everyone was like, Republicans wanted Dr. Oz. I honestly think John Fetterman is probably now more conservative than Dr. Oz would have ever been. So that's one that worked out. Someone you put in office that looked like an awful choice and is actually doing good things so far. So, hey, stick around then. All right. I can't read this unless I bring it closer. All right. Oh, this is Magalis. She is part of my church. She's awesome. So she said, I've got some questions. Is he trying to salvage? Well, first of all, what it says is the announcement sweeping changes to Facebook and Instagram to move toward free speech. And there's more there. But yeah, so basically he said that they're going to stop censoring free speech, which is funny because didn't he say they weren't censoring free speech? And now he's saying they're going to stop. So you can't stop something you weren't doing in the first place, right? Anyway, so is he trying to salvage a sinking ship? Only way I can see this happening is if he fires 90% of his staff. Will he do that? How will this affect YouTube? Will changes be coming too? That would be nice. Does testosterone make you more conservative? Yes, because he started like lifting weights and then waking up. However, that may not be all to the story, because if you read this, Mark Zuckerberg's social media platform has been linked to facilitating a vast network of pedophiles. Oh, that's no surprise. The platform not only allowed such individuals to operate, but openly enabled the use of coded language like pizza as a pedophile code word. Remember Pizzagate, guys? That hasn't gone away. Hashtags such as ped whore and preteen sex, were reportedly used to help predators locate child abuse material. That's disgusting. I didn't know that. Mark Zuckerberg hasn't suddenly become a free speech advocate. He's just trying to stay out of jail. So see, even though it may look like he's making good moves, there may be things that, he's like, oh no, Trump is coming into office. Like in order to save my own hide, I'm going to have to play ball. I'm going to have to cave in certain areas, which is like what the media has been doing. Because as soon as Trump won, so many of them started to change directions. Like they're like, we're not gonna keep murdering him in our, everything that we put out has been an attack. We're going to stop. We're going to move more to the middle because he's going on a war path. So time to save your own hide. All right, let's move on. All right, Biden is the second worst president in American history when compared with 9 recent presidents, according to a Gallup poll. So I would like to know who's in first place. If they're recent presidents, I don't know, Obama, because he is awful. He was terrible. So I would like to see who's in first place. I don't know. If you know, leave a comment and tell me. Breaking: Republicans led by Senator Ted Cruz have introduced a joint resolution proposing a constitutional amendment to impose term limits for members of Congress. Oh, wouldn't that be something? Because they're all like, 150 years old and half the time don't show up, can't find them, don't know what's going on. They're being propped up in their seats, out of touch with everything. Yeah, term limits is a great idea. For how many years have people been saying that? Like forever, as long as I've been alive. And I guarantee longer than that. All right. Kash Patel, let's go. More FBI staff are allegedly threatening to resign if the Senate votes to confirm Kash Patel as FBI director. That's good news. That's a good sign. If you're trying to quit with him coming in, you don't want to be there when stuff goes down. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen a couple of his interviews and it looks like he genuinely is like, screw all this woke stuff, screw all the secrets and the government, killing their I mean, he like looks like he wants to go in and like wipe it out. So I'm all for it. All right. Trump posted this. So this would be like the new United States or whatever that we're going to have: Greenland and Canada. And then the Gulf of America. Did you guys hear that? Anyway, hold on. Before I do that, he was saying we'll get the Gulf of Mexico and rename it the Gulf of America, which is funny. I did hear, I don't know if this is true or not. If it is, I don't know the details, but I heard that we wouldn't be able to make Canada a state because of some kind of laws, but we could make them a territory. So basically like a Puerto Rico or something. And I don't know if the same is true of Greenland or not. But it's interesting. Anyway, speaking of Canada and Greenland kind of joining the US, this is a 1942 map of the New World Order, and I have heard of this. The map shows Greenland, Mexico, and Canada as part of the United States of America. Published in Philadelphia in early 1942, this outline of the post-war New World Map proposed a reorganization of the world following an Allied victory over the Axis powers. So I do remember seeing that. That's kind of interesting that it's like the same, with the exception of Mexico. But who knows? Who knows what Trump will do about Mexico? They have that female president who's an awful person. When she was running like for president, there were, I forget if it was 36 or like 37 people that were either were genuine candidates running against her, or they were like hopefuls maybe. All of them died. We're talking 36 or 37 people, I don't remember the exact number, died leading up to her becoming president. Something stinks there, right? Doesn't sound like a bunch of coincidences to me. And if you look, you can even see, like, I saw a chart of like the manner in which they died, and it's like a bunch of ways that are very easy to like kill someone and then cover it up. Anyway, what's the first thing you think of when seeing Chuck Schumer? All right, well, looking at this picture, it looks like he has his eyes on a small child and he's gonna do awful things and then eat them. That's what it looks like, which, considering the kind of person he is, he's probably already doing that. All right, I'm completely serious when I say this. I want a live deportation tracker streamed 24/7 nationwide, just like they did during COVID-19. So do I. You know how much fun that would be? It's like watching the election, but like it would probably feel, I don't know. It would be live entertainment. I would watch. All right. Let's move into these fires that have been sweeping Los Angeles and Malibu and California. And don't forget, it wasn't long ago that Maui was on fire, right? And there were definitely some things about that that didn't quite seem to make sense. How, a certain celebrity's house could be in the middle of where these fires were, and yet everything around that house burned, and the celebrity's house was untouched, not singed, nothing. So something about that didn't add up. But here we are now. We've got Los Angeles on fire. So let's look. So the Getty Villa, and I may have seen something that said they kind of contained this. I'm not sure. So I'll tell you what this place is, because I had to read a lot about this because I was unaware. So it says it's on fire. It, at this point, was 1,200 acres. I believe it's more than that now. But he said destroying evidence. So I was like, well, destroying evidence of what? So I kept reading and I went to the comments. And again, now keep in mind, this is social media. Is there any credibility to this? We don't know, but it did make me want to go look and see why someone may say this, if there's a story there. So this is what this guy said. You thought Epstein Island was bad. Wait till people find out about this place. Investigate the Getty Museum, a pedophile fortress with more than 12 floors underground. 2 million women and children were there till 2018. There are elevators and practically a city down below with thousands of sex slaves. Only people on the A list can walk all over this place. The elevators lead to a tunnel system. It's guarded with high security. It's a hell created within another hell. Epstein Island was just the tip of the iceberg. Welcome to reality, Jim Caviezel. So I don't know. Did Jim Caviezel stumble upon this because he, was the one that was behind the Sound of Freedom movie, which exposed a lot of that type of thing. But I wasn't aware of the Getty Museum or the Getty Villa, so I wanted to look into it and see what the story is there based on what I saw there. And I skipped ahead in some of this, so this isn't the whole article, but this is one thing I did find on it. I'm gonna have to move this. I can't quite see. Anyway, there's an underground base in city at the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, which was exposed by whistleblower Stephen D. Kelly. He reveals something experienced in the laser industry led him into contact with the dark military intelligence alphabet agencies. Oh, we just talked about Kash Patel destroying that. All right. Using remote technology, Kelly reveals the underground city is linked by tube to Edwards AFB and the rich LA homes in surrounding hills, and exposes how satanic rituals are occurring there using homeless people and missing kids. I will say this real quick. I'm going to put this down. When I first read about this, it says he discovered some of this using a technique called remote viewing. That is an occult practice. People that are into New Age and meditation and that kind of channeling, like spirits and stuff, they do this. It's actually the same thing. So not long ago, NASA came out with a statement or like an article or whatever saying that they found civilization. They found evidence of civilization on Mars. So they're saying at one point Mars, was inhabited, and we can see an ancient civilization was there. NASA said that, but they used remote viewing to pick up some of this stuff. So again, that's an occult practice. I wouldn't do that. So I'm a little bit concerned about this guy that says this is how he figured out this stuff about Getty Villa. Again, if you are trying to expose pedophiles and a satanic ring of these kinds of things, that's great. But I wouldn't go about it using a satanic technique, is all I'm saying. But anyway, we'll keep reading. All right. So while it might have sprung from true patriotic intentions, the standoff in Harney County, Oregon has descended to needless tragedy and force, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. I don't know what I'm reading. I'm actually going to skip the rest of that because I don't know if that is going into the detail that I want. All right. 1 second. I'm going to go with this one. So he's saying the crown jewel of this network lies deep beneath the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, constructed of thick, I can't see that, atop the largest concrete foundation poor in history. The Getty is actually a fortress designed to withstand ballistic assault. That's nuts. It sits atop a hill overlooking LA Visitors at the park at the base of the hill must take a tram to the main entrance, inconspicuously located nearby in the smaller entrance to a security corridor. This leads eventually to an enormous elevator situated behind nuclear blasted resistant doors. That's crazy that it has, that amount of infrastructure basically to, like it said, withstand a ballistic assault. That's nuts. So the elevator descends to the castle over a mile underground. The top level is a spa facility of Caligula-like decadence. Below the spa are opulent residences. The lowest level is a satanic dungeon where people are tortured and ritually sacrificed. Radiating outward from the residential section are tubes whereby cavers may travel to other underground locations around the planet. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know what this reminds me of is, if you've ever heard of the supposed creepy underground Denver airport, how they say, and this is like, I think underground the Denver International Airport where normal people fly in and out. But there's supposedly one underneath that has a bunch of like weird satanic symbols and things, and a bunch of underground corridors, and even like a whole, a tunnel system and whatnot. So it does beg the question, if that's true, and if this is true, are these kinds of things actually all linked underground, and only a certain elite people can use this and know about it? I don't know. This is, speculation, or I think it is. Probably this guy who put this together doesn't think it is. So of all the Metropolitans, since the one below the Getty is the most luxurious, gold commodes. Wow, okay. The Queen had her hand in building it. That's sus, because the royal family is a whole nother story. Prince Andrew paid a visit in 2000. Oh, that guy's into some nasty stuff. So I don't know if I want to read the rest of this, but you kind of get what I'm getting at. Let me see if there's more information in this last one. So he went public with his claims about the Getty in 2012. So this is even necessarily new. Occupy the Getty. Actually, if you look him up on X, his profile still says this. And I would venture to say he's probably been kicked off of most social media and whatnot. Because I know he's on Rumble. Usually people go to Rumble because they got kicked off YouTube and everywhere else. So he's calling for an occupation of the museum's main entrance area. Free the children is what he's saying. The children held captive under this museum. The goal is to get public attention focused on the Getty, generating pressure on the museum to disprove the claim. So the plane might be a long shot. It makes a lot more sense than the armed takeover of a remote wildlife sanctuary, blah, blah, blah. So basically that's the gist of it. I'm a little bit bored and I don't want to read all that, but you can see why, when we go back up to what it is we were reading about this, are they destroying evidence because this place is on fire? Well, I don't know. Again, with Trump coming in, lots of things are, being shaken up. So it's an interesting thought. I don't know. But this, again, is not just, the fire was not just there. Like, I mean, here's another picture where things don't look right. He's calling it eco-terrorism. That's Maui. Yeah, doesn't look right. Oh, and then Biden did this. So he ordered LA airspace closed to firefighting aircraft for over a day during his visit, allowing a historic place to burn out of control. Why would you do that? Like, I understand Biden's an idiot, but someone's making decisions for him. And why would you do that unless you want things to be on fire and continue to burn? You know what I'm saying? Also, too, and this is a conspiracy theory. This is, speculation, but like people said after the Maui fires, they think they were man-made. It was intentional, and they intentionally did not want to contain them because they want to force those people out of their homes. I heard people saying they're going to make it a smart city, whatever that is. So we don't know that. Someone said, we appreciate you taking the time to put everything together and serving us with your wisdom and knowledge. Thank you, joyful soul. I appreciate that very much. So anyway, people are saying the Maui thing was intentional. They want to make it a smart city. They don't want these people to be able to rebuild their homes. And then we see something similar that happened with the flooding in North Carolina, where they were refusing aid and even keeping other citizens from bringing aid. And the whole conspiracy goes back to BlackRock and Piedmont and them wanting to get to the lithium that's there in North Carolina. So they don't want these people to be able to rebuild their homes and continue to live there because they're in the way. So then, now you have to ask the question, what's going on in LA? Is it the same thing where this is a planned fire and they want to force people out of certain areas, which LA I know has a ton of people living there, but do they have a reason for, wanting that area for something? Are they burning evidence? We don't know. There are some things about it that don't quite seem to add up. I saw something else about, and cloud seeding is something. Well, I wasn't doing the podcast yet when the floods hit North Carolina, but cloud seeding has been a thing. So they have technology to manipulate the weather, to send a system to a certain place, and they can steer the storm even using lasers and all kind of things to make it go hit a certain area. So, and this goes back to Project Cirrus, I think was the first instance of this, and it was like the 1960s, I think, if I remember correctly. If it wasn't the 60s, it was the 40s, but I want to say 1960 something. So it's been around for a while, and they can do that. So, and again, would our own government or some higher ups do this? Yes. You need to wake up and realize the government hates you, and they don't care. They do not care about us. They have a globalist agenda. The higher ups, they will kill anyone that gets in their way. They'll shut you up however they need to. They'll kill your family. They're awful people. They don't care. So am I surprised if something like this is going on? No. Now, am I saying this is what's happening? No, because there could be something, maybe this is naturally occurring. But anyway, back to the cloud seeding. What I read was they were saying that the reason LA suddenly got so dry is because they stopped. So you can do cloud seeding and cause rain and all kind of things. And then they stopped. So then it dried up, and all of a sudden now it's very easy for fire to catch and spread like crazy. So again, that's not in the hands of God. That's not a weather event. That's someone messing around with manipulating the weather. So who knows? But it does kind of stink if you ask me. Did we look at this one? No. But yeah, Pacific Palisades in Los Angeles is completely gone. My church is actually starting a church in Los Angeles in March 1st, I think. And they have a meeting out there at the end of the month. So I hope everybody, I hope the citizens and everyone's okay, because that's awful. And they're saying that they weren't, some people were saying that they were not they weren't given an evacuation notice. So I'm telling you, something's not adding up. I hear he's saying they got Maui'd. Everything on the west side of PCH in Malibu's gone. Look at that. I saw the sunrise with like all the fire there, and it looked like a portal to hell. So I genuinely hope the citizens are okay. Oh, look what Jamie Lee Curtis said. Oh, she's on the verge of tears, described the catastrophe, of the Palisades fire near her multi-million-dollar California home, expressing her fear that her entire city is engulfed in flames. She shared her concern that everything in her neighborhood, including the homes of her celebrity friends, might now be completely lost. Look at that disgusting picture, which I think is in her house. It looks like a kid in like a barrel. God only knows what she's into. So it's hard for me to feel bad for her. I actually don't. Oh, getting back to Getty Villa, the museum, this is it. This is a picture of it. So it is an absolutely massive place. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like a fortress. I don't know how many acres that covers or how much land they have, but it's a big place. But I won't get into more of that. I talked obviously a little bit about pedophilia, but it's about to get worse. So here's your warning. If you don't want to listen or watch, or you've got kids, I would actually, before I get into that. So if you guys remember how the whole drone footage or the whole drone thing has been going on, first it was New Jersey, and then it was like Oregon, and then it was the Gulf of Mexico, and then it's like all over the place. It was right pat in Dayton. So I mean, the drones, I'm not particularly worried about the drones. I think those are, our government knows what's up. I'm pretty sure some of them have been recovered and they've got stickers on them, and they're a man-made thing, that I think our government knows exactly what's going on with them. Otherwise, there probably would be more of a response. But people have reported seeing orbs and lights that are not part of the drone that are kind of mixed in with this whole thing that's going on. So, we don't really know what's going on. But with these fires in California, I saw several videos of people posted where they're seeing some weird lights in the smoke. So let's watch these together. See the white dot? I don't know how
Move for me again. Thank you.
I don't know that I would call that a UFO, but I would probably call it an orb, which oftentimes are associated with
there
UFOs
are a
and cattle
ton of
mutilations.
UFOs. I've seen like 5 now. Where'd you just go? Come here. Come back. There you are. Hey, come here.
Yeah, not behaving like a plane or anything
Come
like
here.
that.
The crows are going crazy.
So it is interesting because animals do oftentimes act up when surrounding the time people saw a UFO or had something happen on their property. Like their dog starts going nuts. Same thing for people that are taken. They've said if they have an animal, they'll wake up and like go ballistic. And of course, there's nothing they physically see, but there's a sense there. Let's watch this one. That looks, someone was saying those fires were started intentionally, which I don't know anything about fire, but that doesn't look naturally occurring to me. Like, doesn't it look like you've got 3 points of origin here that I don't think fires like spread like that, do they? Anyway, I'm bored with that one. I have one more that I think shows an orb in the sky. Here we go. Yeah, what is that thing? Moving that fast. Let's watch it one more time. See that white thing? One more time. Why is the sound off? Whatever. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but it doesn't look like something that moves like, common aircraft or anything. So that, who knows? Like, someone said that story's whack. I got some info for you though. Which Aloof and Pew Pew 247? Which story and what info? Because I'm interested. And then my nephew Braden said Joe Biden made the best choices possible. TBH, love Hillary Clinton. That's obviously sarcasm. No one likes either of them. All right, so now we're going to transition into the more heinous stuff, which is, I mentioned this briefly in an earlier episode. I don't remember which one it was. Actually, hold on. I have one more video before I get to that. And this is actually funny. Because this guy said something, and then the reporter, of course, had to try to, take back what he said, basically. So listen to this guy.
Yes, I can hear you. So the family with the poor little girl who was.
Fire happening right now.
Say that again?
Why is there a fire happening right now?
There are multiple fires that are taking place.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the news though. You're supposed to know.
Well, I don't know how it started. We don't know how it started. There,
I think
winds.
it's all the gay people in LA.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
We got the
unacceptable. Gina,
He said, I think it's because of all the gay people in LA. Like, bro literally took his chance on live TV where he's being interviewed and dropped that. which was just funny because then the reporter's like, "Oh no, we're live. Like, I gotta say something." Anyway, all right. So here's the heavy stuff. So I mentioned this in an earlier episode, and it's a place called Comet Ping Pong. It's in DC, and it's a restaurant. It's like a pizza place, and it's has all these high profile people that go there. We're talking Obamas, Clintons, and Podestas, and people like that who are all in bed together and awful people. So the owner, this is him, James Alefantis, which he just looks like a sick like creep to me. If you know you have any vibes at all, they're not good looking at him. Anyway, so this place, there was this whole Pizzagate came out, and it was like 2016. So this isn't like new news, but basically, so they found emails between like Hillary Clinton and one of the Podestas, and if you read the emails and you know what you're looking for, pedophiles use, which we read it earlier, they use certain words like pizza and pasta and hot dogs and things like that. To describe what they want, which is disgusting and awful, but that's what they do. So you can see it in these emails. And James Alefantis with Comet Pizza, I think I mentioned this, but they were like on their, I believe it was on their website, you could rent a room in this restaurant / like kind of play place. That's the thing, it's kind of a play place, like you want to draw in kids, ping pong, like the games and stuff like that. And so you could rent one of these rooms, but if you looked at the description of the price of it, was insane. No one's going to pay, thousands of dollars to rent a room for a number of hours. And then if you paid attention to this description, if you know what you're looking for, you could see the pedophile words in there. So someone who knows what they're looking for is going to look at this room they want to rent or whatever, and they're going to see what comes with it. What do I get to do in this room? And keep in mind, this is all in a restaurant, but it also has all these weird, disgusting, this artwork. Now, I don't know if this stuff is still there. I think the place is still in business. I do think in like 2017, so probably after Pizzagate came out, someone went there to like shoot the place up and got arrested. So as far as I know, it's still there, but I do wonder if they have taken down the artwork and have stopped putting out ads for the room rentals and whatnot, because if someone blew this story, you're going to destroy evidence, right? So here's an example of a disgusting picture. What is that? Somebody chained up, right? Disgusting. What is that doing anywhere, and especially in a restaurant where, again, you act like you cater to kids. Here's another one. Just look, just everything about it, the vibes are off. Someone's holding a head, and it looks like slavery and has like sexual undertones, like everybody's naked. Like, what in the world is this crap? This one's even worse. Like, what is this? What, like, do you see what I'm saying? Look at the one in the bottom right. Look at all of them. They're all terrible. Honestly, I don't even want to keep looking. That's an example of what is wrong with this place. And then look who's here playing a game. None other than Obama. So I'm telling you, this whole thing stinks. And it's not just that actually, and that's the funny thing too, is if you trace the owner's lineage, James Alefantis, if you trace it back, he's a Rothschild. So, who are these elites? Who are the top 1% or whatever? Who are the ones calling the shots? Who are the ones into deep, disgusting, awful, heinous, and demonic acts? Well, usually if you follow the breadcrumb trail, you find out. But in that same on the same note, there's, if you've I know this is a tourist attraction, you can go to the Biltmore Estate in North Carolina, but this picture surfaced, and I don't know when this surfaced. Again, this may have been 2016, may have been earlier than that. I don't think it's new. This picture surfaced of these kids, and I'll just show you the picture, like tied up, and wearing very little. And then there's what it looks like is they're in an empty swimming pool. And then someone pieced this together and they said, I think that's the swimming pool in the Biltmore estate. So there you see it, and it does look very similar. So this is a side-by-side, and this was found in Tony Podesta's house. What are you doing with something like that in your house? You are a sick freak. So again, all these people in bed together. This right here, I thought was interesting. And again, this is like, I think goes all the way back to 2016. So the fake news media won't report on John Podesta's hot tub parties with a 6-year-old or with multiple 6-year-olds. So if you look at what's highlighted, we plan to heat the pool. So swim is a possibility. Bonnie will be Uber service to transport Ruby, Emerson, and Maeve or whatever. 11, 9, and almost 7. So you'll have some further entertainment, and they'll be in that pool for sure. So do you see what I'm saying? And there were a bunch of emails that came out, which I'm sure have been like as best as they can scrubbed from the internet, because you do have to do some digging to find this stuff. If you Google this stuff, all you're going to see is Snopes and all those other websites that fact check, and they say this is a conspiracy theory, this is a false claim, blah, blah, blah. So as soon as you see that, it's true, because if all those same people have fact checked everything that the government and higher ups have been hiding, it's true. But John Podesta was the one I mentioned. How the conspiracy theory is that he's actually the father of Chester Bennington, who was the lead singer of Linkin Park, who killed himself. And I believe the connection was John Podesta hired someone to clean his house, and it was Chester Bennington's mom. So if you look at this picture, I mean, I could see it 100%. I could see this being father and son. The eyes, the nose, the mouth, even the ears are somewhat similar. The shape of the forehead, like I could definitely see it. Like, do we know it's true? We don't know, because Chester's dead, and dead people can't talk. So, very disturbing and disgusting. But that's just, a little glimpse of, unfortunately, the evil people that we do have in high, powerful positions. And there's another thing I might talk about maybe in the next episode called Bohemian Grove. It's this place out in California, and I don't want to give it all away now, but Alex Jones actually snuck in there. I don't know how he got in, but he filmed this like ritual, which like is a satanic ritual. I saw someone try to fact check that and say it wasn't a satanic ritual. It was a fake one. Okay, there is no such thing as fake satanic rituals. If you are doing everything to perform a satanic ritual, it's a satanic ritual. You don't do that stuff without the influences being involved. No one's going to do. Am I going to go like start doing occult type things and be like, oh, it's actually just a joke, I don't mean it? No, you get into that stuff, you're in it. So there's no such thing as fake. But that's what they try to say when you look this stuff up, because they want to fact check it and they want you to believe that it's not real. But unfortunately it is. All right. So that I'm not going to go into any more, because I don't want to. I don't like talking about stuff like that. It's disgusting and disturbing. So I'm going to transition into fun things. So let's look at what's coming up. Yay. This starts in about an hour. The CFP semifinal. So you got Notre Dame and Penn State, who play at 7:30. And then tomorrow you've got Ohio State and Texas. Who do you guys think, which two teams do you think are going to the Natty? I'll tell you what I think. I think it's going to be Notre Dame and Ohio State. And then who do I think is going to win it all? I'm not saying it because I'm a fan, but I think it's going to be the Buckeyes, because I don't think, if we play like we've played since the Tennessee game, if I were any other team, I wouldn't want to play us. So as long as we fire on all cylinders like we've been doing, like after what we did to Oregon, I don't think that Notre Dame can hang. So looking forward to that. I'm going to watch that. And then we are going to, I just saw this and thought it was encouraging. Look, your first workout will be bad. Your first podcast will be bad. Your first speech will be bad. Your first video will be bad. Your first anything will be bad. But you can't make your 100th without making your first. So put your ego aside and start. I like that. I feel like that's applicable to literally every aspect of your life. People hate starting. That's like the number one thing that people, what keeps people from the gym is starting. Starting is the hardest part. Once you start, it's smooth sailing. It becomes part of your lifestyle. It becomes routine. And then in fact, your day is not complete until you've exercised. So getting started is always the hardest part, but you never get better. You never accomplish anything if you never step out of your comfort zone and start something new. So I liked that. Speaking of the gym, here's Joey Swole. Love this guy. Look what he said. In 2025, gyms need to start enforcing policy that if you take photos or videos of someone without their consent to post online to bully, shame, or embarrass them, your membership is automatically revoked and you're banned from the gym. Gyms need to do better. Do you agree? Yes, 100%. I agree. I love you, Joey Swole. You are my friend, even though you don't know me. All right. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is fasting. And the reason why is because my church is in the middle of a fast right now. So we all started Monday the 6th. So this is day 4. And this is going on for 21 days. If you would like to join, you can go to rtcregister.com. And even though it's already started, you can join at any point. And you don't have to be a member or anything. Like it's not going to require anything of you. Like it's free. You just join and then you just basically are encouraged by all the other people that are doing it with you. And I'll say this is the first time I've done this, like a corporate one. And it is so much easier because you feel like you're letting down other people if you break it, even though they don't know you or know that you're doing it. It just is something you don't want to do. You're like, oh man, if all those people are still going, then I can't be the one that broke it. And so it helps and it's awful. I hate fasting. I wish there was something else that God gave us to do that's powerful spiritually as well as good for you physically. But unfortunately, fasting is what it is. So, you have to just deal with it. But I did kind of want to talk about some of the benefits of fasting and I feel like an idiot for not having known this sooner. I have a degree in nutrition. I've been a personal trainer and a nutrition coach. So I should have known this. I knew fasting had some health benefits, but I didn't know this specifically. And this is super, super good information to have. So something kicks in that's called autophagy. And this is just the AI overview. It's a cellular recycling process that breaks down and recycles old, damaged, and abnormal substances within a cell. It's a survival mechanism that helps cells function properly and maintain energy balance. So, it breaks down the cells and it recycles what's salvageable into new usable cell parts. And this happens while we sleep, but also it's induced by certain medications or reduced calories in fasting. So why it's important, it helps maintain energy balance and especially important during periods of stress or starvation. It also helps prevent diseases like cancer and neurodegeneration and liver disease. A key sign of autophagy is reduced appetite, which is likely due to changed levels of hormones like glucagon and insulin. But to make this happen quickly and completely, it is fasting. And I'm talking fasting like water only fasting. I believe it peaks at 72 hours. So if you do a 3-day water fast, and it's hard. If you've ever gone, I think it's hard to go half a day without eating because I like to eat. But when I'm telling you, you go only water, you'll have dreams about baked potatoes and steaks. I literally woke up this morning earlier than I wanted to. So I went back to sleep and I literally dreamed about donuts and like some kind of pasta and like a casserole. So you can't even not think about food when you're sleeping, which that just happens when you fast. But it is incredibly good for your body. Watch this video with me and then we'll talk a little more about it.
Not familiar with what autophagy is, let me just give you the basic understanding of what it is. It is cellular repair. You came pre-programmed with cells that are so intelligent they know how to heal themselves. And when you take food out of the equation, something called autophagy will be stimulated. And this autophagy effect will start to clean up the cells. You can actually regenerate cells. So like we love autophagy for any damaged neurons in the brain. I've talked about the power of autophagy for hormonal health. It is an incredible tool for brain health, hormonal health, and to overcome any bad living that you might have had years ago.
So also, and I believe this is relatively new, and I actually can't believe they would even say this because you know how much money the medical community makes off of people being sick. They make off of cancer, all kinds of things. But recently, at least honest doctors have actually said if you have cancer, they recommend a 21-day water-only fast because you literally starve the cancer cells, which oftentimes are feeding on like glucose. You give it no chance to feed on anything, and then autophagy kicks in and it starts to kill all of the bad and damaged cells. So it's very effective for that as well. Plus, to say nothing of what it does for your digestion, actually gives your body a chance to catch up, flush things out that shouldn't be there. And yeah, you're gonna be tired. Like you're not gonna have energy. That's a downside of it. And if you have a caffeine addiction, which I have or did have, you're going to have a migraine on day one, and it could last longer than day one. Thankfully, mine was only day one, but also when you cut out carbs, you get a headache too. So it's like, it's not pleasant. It's hard to do, but there are health benefits for it. I listened to Joe Rogan or a lot of MMA fighters. They know about it. They're saying do a 2-day water fast. It has all these benefits for your body. So it's not, it's not a controversial thing. But where we're going to tie in what the Bible says about it is actually fasting is mentioned over 70 times in the Bible, and it's both Old and New Testament. So I'm going to go through a bunch of scriptures. Actually, before I do, I am going to find where I want to start. But first, I'm going to play this video that my church put out that has to do with fasting. So watch this.
The Hebrew word for fasting means to close the mouth from food. Fasting and prayer first changes you. Until something changes in here, nothing changes out there. And fasting and prayer brings great change to you and your inner man. Challenges in life are normal, but it's unscriptural to be defeated. Never mistake a challenge for a defeat. Stand on the word, stand against the devil, and possess what God says belongs to you. Every person that's made it their business to come against you, to shut your business down, to make it their personal project, to see that you never succeed, God is going to cut their legs out from under them. You're walking through to a new dawn in Jesus' name.
So they actually do 21 days of prayer and fasting to start every year. Now, I always knew that fasting is a biblical concept. Moses fasted for 40 days. Jesus fasted for 40 days. There is a lot more in the Bible about fasting that I have missed. And one of the biggest ones is this, because this convicted me. So this is from Matthew. It says, "And when you fast, do not look gloomy like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces that their fasting may be seen by others. Truly, I say to you, they've received their reward." So basically, if you're fasting, don't walk around looking like a dirt ball and, dragging your feet. I'm so tired, because you want people to ask, right? So take care of yourself. But anyway, look at what it says. And when you fast, not if you fast, when. So something everyone is supposed to be doing. And when I noticed that, I was like, oh, that's like a dagger in the heart, because I haven't fasted since 2020. I did, the longest one I've done was 12 days, and it really wasn't for spiritual reasons, honestly. And then I did a 7-day, which was for spiritual reasons. And I can tell you after that fast, something broke, because there is power. And it's almost like God knew what he was doing. So not only do you have the the physical benefits to your body, but there's power and there's something spiritual to it. So I can tell you something broke after I did that, but I have not been regular with fasting. And apparently what we just read, I'm supposed to. So that convicted me, and I've done a terrible job as a Christian of making this a spiritual discipline. And obviously you can't fast all the time. The same God who instituted fasting also instituted feasting. So it's good to eat, right? And you'll literally die. You'll starve to death if you don't eat. So you can't do it all the time, but there should be at some point, like I like what my church is doing it at the beginning of the year, because you then give the whole year to the Lord and say, all right, Lord, this is X, Y, and Z that I want to happen. I'm setting myself apart. I'm putting my flesh to death. I'm seeking you and doing this for spiritual reasons coupled with prayer, to give this whole year to you for, for whatever it is that you're praying for, that you want to see happen in that year, also for protection and all kind of things. So there are a ton of verses on fasting. We're just going to go through a bunch of them. So you guys can see this is absolutely a biblical concept. And the thing is, when you fast, you literally start dying. You're literally putting your flesh to death, because that is what starts happening to your body physically. It's going to take a while for you to actually die, but that's what you're doing. And I think it was Finis Dake who said, when Adam and Eve sinned, the sin that separated them from God was involved food, right? He said, so it makes sense that when you want to get closer to God and you want to put yourself back in his presence, that removing food helps to make that happen. And I was like, that's an interesting, thing. I never would have put that together, but that makes sense. So anyway, let's start reading some of these verses. Ezra 8:23. We fasted and implored our God for this, and he listened to our entreaty. So yes, God listens when you pray, but if you want to accelerate things and you really want to get God's attention with something, couple it with fasting and it will change things. It's like trying to start a fire with sticks or whatever, and then suddenly you add kerosene to the mix and it's like, oh wow, it just blows up and everything moves fast. It's an accelerant. It is. All right, let's go to the next one. Is not this the fast that I chose, to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the straps of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free and break every yoke? Isaiah 58:6. So you see there that fasting is associated with breaking loose and whatnot. There's freedom when you right. Whom the sun sets free is free indeed, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom or liberty. So the closer you get, the more free you are from the things of this world, and free from your own flesh, who's constantly at war against you. Let's move on. All right. While they were worshiping the Lord and fasting, the Holy Spirit said, set apart for me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I have called them. That's from Acts. So you're fasting and worshiping, and then you get a very specific word from the Lord telling you something specific to do. So it gives you the ability to hear God's voice. If that's a struggle for you, go on a fast and you'll hear his voice. You will. It's I think Mahesh Chabda, who, if anyone would be considered an expert on fasting for spiritual reasons, it's probably him, because he would do a 40-day every year, which I'm not doing a 40-day. God would have to show up in my room and tell me to. And he did a 21-day in the same year. He did a 10, and then I think multiple 5s, maybe multiple 10s. He fasted all the time. Not normal. He had a gift. He was given supernatural grace to be able to do it. But he's written books talking about fasting, and he said it's picture you have a spiritual antenna, and over time your flesh and the cares of this world and everything get it clogged up and get stuff stuck on it, so that you don't receive a signal very easily. When you fast, all of that starts to come off, because you're crucifying your flesh, and now your antenna is sharpened and you can hear from God much more easily. So that's just, kind of what we just read, basically. Here's another one. So he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He neither ate bread nor drank water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. That was Moses. So he got the 10 commandments from God while he's on a fast. This one. As soon as I heard these words, I sat down and wept and mourned for days, and I continued fasting and praying before the God of heaven. Nehemiah. Fasting and praying Old Testament, fasting and praying New Testament. Cornelius, this is Acts. 4 days ago, I was fasting until this hour, and at the 9th hour, I prayed in my house, and behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing. And if you read on, you know, this is where an angel literally showed up in Cornelius's house and told him to go get Peter, who's staying, Simon Peter, who's staying with Simon the tanner by the sea, which Jews and Gentiles would not mingle at that time. But look, fasting and praying, angel shows up and tells him who to go get and what to do. This one talking about casting out demons. Remember the disciples, they couldn't cast out the demons, so they had to go get Jesus. And he said, why don't you have faith, basically? And then they said, why couldn't we cast it out? This kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. So there's power in fasting, and then there's power to make things change when you fast. Because it's the reason is because it's less of you and more of him. Less of your flesh and more of the Holy Spirit. So naturally, you're going to see an uptick in power and whatnot because there's less of you involved, because we always ruin everything. All right. Then Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit to Galilee, and news of him went throughout all the surrounding region, and he taught in their synagogues, being glorified by all. The reason I put this verse up is because this is what is describing what happened after he came out of the wilderness, after the 40-day fast, when Satan came to tempt him. 3 times he said, it's written, man shall not live by bread alone, and all this stuff. And then he returns in the power of the Spirit to Galilee. And then people started buzzing about him. So fasting, and then came power. Same here. Then Jesus, being filled with the Holy Spirit, returned from the Jordan, was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, being tempted by the devil for 40 days. So I actually should have put this one first. In those days, he ate nothing. So he goes in, he fasts, he defeats the temptation of the devil. He comes out in the power of the Holy Spirit. Boom, stuff starts taking off. All right, here's some from the New Testament, which that was too, but Galatians 5:24, and those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified their flesh with its passions and desires. You'll notice if you're fasting, you don't have a desire to do anything. Now, the downside is sometimes you don't even want to like read your Bible or whatever. But if someone was like, hey, well, you want to like go out drinking, or you want to like go out and have an affair or whatever, you're like, I actually don't want to do anything at all. I might kill you if you keep asking me. I'm not getting out of this chair. Okay. I'm exhausted. I'm weak. I don't want to do anything at all. So you literally do crucify the flesh, and then its passions and desires go with it. Moving on. It is the Spirit who gives life. The flesh is no help at all. The words that I have spoken to you are spirit and life. Look, the flesh is no help at all. So this is why you put it to death through fasting, and then the Spirit is what starts to show up, what starts to take over and be the primary motivator and the primary even mode of operation for you. You don't keep making decisions according to your flesh. You start making them according to the Spirit, which comes from God, which is the best way to live, because your flesh is going to mess it up. It's no help at all. All right. For if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you will live. So this is honestly kind of saying the same thing that the last verse just said. You live according to the flesh, it leads to death, because flesh and sin and death are all in bed together. But by the Spirit, you put to death the deeds of the body, you'll live. So that's where life really starts. Those who are in the flesh cannot please God. Oof. That's unsettling, isn't it? Because all of us are in the flesh, and it takes a tremendous effort. It takes a tremendous effort to not be in the flesh, because if you are in the flesh, you can't please God, is what that says. So it's fasting. I'm telling you, it's hard. It is hard. It is the hardest thing I have ever done. Ever. And I haven't had to like quit smoking cigarettes or anything like that, which I'm sure is very hard also. But I'm telling you, fasting is the hardest thing. Well, especially in our culture too, because it's like you have tons of food in your house. Every time you watch TV, there's a commercial for wings or something. Or even, it's funny too, you notice when you fast, you'll notice how much of your life is consumed by food. Like every time someone, or you'll also notice too, this always always happens. If you go to fast, someone will like materialize out of thin air and try to give you food. Someone that never does. Someone will show up to your job with donuts. Someone that's never brought them in before. Someone will accidentally DoorDash 2 subs instead of 1, and they'll try to give you one. Or, someone will bring home pizza that someone just decided to give to them. It always happens. Every single time there is, and people have no idea. It's not like they're doing it. It's not like they know you're fasting or doing it on purpose. It just happens that way. Because, and if you notice too, when Satan approached Jesus in the desert, the first thing he tempted him with was eating. He tried to get him to break the fast, right? Turn these breads into stone. That was the first thing he did. And Jesus was like, no. But you'll see, you will have one thing after another come up to try to get you to break the fast. And it's not a sin if you do. God's not like, oh, I hate you. I'm going to catch you on fire. No, he's not going to rebuke you for it. Any sacrifice that you make to draw closer to the Lord and strip yourself of the world and your own flesh, God honors that. But it's interesting how there's always going to be this push out of nowhere to try to get you to break it. The same can be said if you stop drinking alcohol. I literally had someone, this was like forever ago. I worked at a steakhouse and I had quit drinking not like super long before this, like maybe a year or something. So it'd been a decent amount of time, but not like a decade where I'm at now. And there was this couple that they liked me, so they would always ask for me, and I'd wait on them. And he would always order, I forget, I thought it was called like B&B or something, not Bailey's, but something that it was some kind of liquor he would put in his coffee. And he ordered it and made a comment about it. And I was just like, oh, I don't know, I've never had it. And he's like, oh, here, try it. And literally pours out what he had onto a spoon and lifts it to my face. And I was like, no. And he's like, yeah, just try it. Come on. And he wouldn't let it go for a minute. And I was like, first of all, I'm working. Second of all, like, why you paid for that and you're pushing me to try it while I'm standing here working? Like, what are you doing? So people will literally, you'll be amazed how many things come up out of nowhere that are not normal to get to try, to try to get you to abandon the thing you're doing for God and get you back in the flesh. It's amazing. All right, let's read this one. For though we walk in the flesh, we are not waging war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but have divine power to destroy strongholds. So see, you're not supposed to walk in the flesh. You're supposed to walk according to the Spirit. And that's where the battles are fought. If you're strong in the Spirit, you fare better in a battle. There are way more of these than I even put in here, but this is just to give you a sampling of how much the Bible does talk about fasting and why it is so important. For the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but the one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life. So see, you don't want to sow corruption, put your flesh to death, elevate the Spirit, get in the Spirit by doing spiritual things, and fasting is one of those things. For those who live according to the flesh, set their minds. Wait, did I just read this? Yeah, sorry. Let's go to this one. Since therefore Christ suffered in the flesh, arm yourselves with the same way of thinking, for whoever has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. This basically is backing up what I just said. If someone were to come at you with some kind of temptation, you're like, no, I'm not doing anything. All right. Because you're putting your flesh to death. So it's really hard to sin when you can barely stay alive because you're starving. We got 3 more. For the desires of the flesh are against the Spirit, and the desires of the Spirit are against the flesh. For these are opposed to each other to keep you from doing the things you want to do. Galatians 5:17. So you see, and like we talked about, the flesh is no help at all. There is a war going on between your flesh and your spirit, and you have to take steps against your flesh to shut it up and make it die, so that the Spirit is the one that you're living according to, that you're using to make your decisions. Because I'm telling you, if you make decisions in the flesh, and you can even do it from what seems like a wise position. Oh, I got every expert in this on this topic to help me make the best decision. I weighed the pros and cons. I'm not saying that's not good, but I'm simply saying if all you do is look at the, how things look in the flesh, and then you make decisions about your life according to that, you're going to completely miss what the Spirit would have you do, because God might tell you to do something that's absolutely insane. And you would think, I'm going to look nuts if I do this, but it's because God knows the beginning from the end, and he has things that are in place ready to make this all fit together. But if you establish your own plans according to decisions you made in the flesh, you're going to miss out. So that's, what I get from that. But put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provision for the flesh to gratify its desires. The flesh gets nothing. That's literally one of the things I've had to say out loud. Oh, my stomach is rumbling. Well, shut up. You're not getting food. Go away. You have to actually put it to death. I'm telling you. All right. Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. All right. Our flesh is trash. That's why you got to get rid of it. Now, some of you may have seen this. Obviously, I love this person, not only because he's a good dude, but he's also a former Ohio State Buckeye. And listen to what CJ Stroud had to say about his 2025 goals.
I think you have to feel for a second. Is there a New Year's resolution for CJ Stroud?
I started to just, really just locking back in with the Lord. It was, kind of in a lukewarm season. One foot in, one foot out, and the Lord has helped me to get out of that, and so that's really my 2025 goal, is just be locked in with the Lord as much as possible, and and fasting, praying, getting discipled. Getting part of a church here in Houston, and which I've been able to do. So, that's my 2025 goal, is just, getting closer with the Lord. All right. Thank you, guys.
He said fasting and praying. That's CJ Stroud in a post-game press conference or something. Fasting and praying. Listen, I'm here for it. So again, fasting for spiritual reasons obviously should be priority number one. Otherwise, if you're not making it spiritual, then it's really just a hunger strike. And if you don't devote time to praying, then what do you expect to get out of it? You don't just lie around starving yourself. You got to get in the word and be in prayer, obviously. But the good thing about it too is there are the physical positives that come from it. So again, if you want to join, it's not too late. Even if actually what a lot of people are doing, from my church, well, not even people from my church, they have people registered from all over the place. You don't have to be part of the church to do it. But a lot of people are doing fasting 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Because a lot of people have to do manual labor and work jobs that make it really hard to not eat anything at all. If you talk for a living, it's a little bit easier to do a straight up water fast, or just bone broth and diluted juice for the whole 21 days. And something too is funny. My pastor mentioned this. The hardest people it usually is to get to fast are fitness people. And it's true, because you look at your gains and everything you've accomplished over the last year, or the last few months or whatever, and you start literally wasting away. And then it's down the drain goes all of your progress, all of your muscle mass, because it goes first before the fat. And it's but you have to make a decision. What am I going to prioritize? Do I care more about being in the presence of God and doing what the Bible just said I should do to put to death my flesh and elevate the spirit? Or am I going to care more about something fleshly, which is not only your appearance, but even the mobility that you have when it comes to being fit and whatnot. So which one is going to take first place? So, because I was sitting here thinking man, how can I still work out and be fasting? And you kind of can't. You might have one day where you feel good and you're I actually have energy, even though you haven't eaten in a week or whatever. But you're not going to build muscle if you're not eating. So it's kind of a lost cause. I'm not saying don't do anything. It's still good to walk and do what you can, but you're not going to put on muscle, So you do have to deal with it. It's 3 weeks. out of 52. You can't give 3 weeks to God. You have the rest of the 52 weeks of the year to feast like a king, right? And that's what I like keep telling myself. It's like, you know, as much as I hate this, this is something I can do. He's asking for 3 weeks, and you don't even have to do 3 weeks. You could start with 1 day if you've never done it. Start with 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. if you've never done it. And then work your way up to see what you can do. And I get it. It's hard because I'm a person, you can ask my husband. I'm a person who gets mad when I'm hungry. I'm a grump. I could kill someone. I don't like it. Like I am. And then immediately, as soon as I eat, I'm a different person. Like the bad mood just like disappears. I'm completely normal after I eat. So I understand if you're like, I can't do that. I get hungry and grumpy. Join the club. Everybody does. I can't do that. I have a headache. Join the club. Everybody does. But again, it's a sacrifice. Are you willing to put your flesh to death in order to do something we're biblically told to do, and something that has, you know, that's going to be an accelerant to your prayers, that's going to start your year off in the right direction? You know, I want to be obedient to God. And if he said to do something, even though it's hard for me, I'm just going to have to suck it up and do it. So again, I have dropped the ball. I have not been a regular faster. Now that I know what the Bible says about it, I am going to have to make this regular. And I'm not saying I'm going to do another 21-day fast this year. I don't plan to, unless God said do that. But I can't rule out like a 3-day, especially if something comes up that you're like, man, I really need an answer, or I really need this to work out, or whatever, or this person, I really need them healed, whatever happens, you know, couple your praying with fasting and watch things go a good direction. All right. That's all I have for the heavier stuff. We're just going to watch a couple of palate cleansers and call it a day. So let's watch this. This video I thought was funny because I'm literally both of these people. I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard, but I'm like, I can identify with the guy with the box of pizza. I can also identify with the guy with all the supplements. But the thing is, I don't judge people that are eating junk because I do it too. Anyway, 2 more videos. But I obviously picked the dog breeds that I have, because both of them are really not intelligent and they're both lazy, but they both do funny things. So first, we're going to watch the Basset Hounds. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, so this is what I need, because when we feed our Basset Hound, his ears go all over the place, or actually every time he drinks water. So whatever this is, I need it. Watch. Perfect. I gotta feel bad because they look so stupid, but that's basically like a sock for their head to keep their ears back so they can eat without them getting disgusting. So I'm honestly gonna have to look into that and probably get one, because Stig, he constantly gets stuff stuck and they smell terrible. I have to clean them all the time. All right, here's the last one, and this one, of course, is a Saint Bernard. Look what this dog did.
Gigi, stop!
She flooded their whole backyard as she's standing there wagging her tail like, oh, this water feels so good. I'm having such a good time. What do you want? While she's ruining their backyard and probably ruining the pool also. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. If you're still watching, God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Do I have anything left is the question. Just this. If you want to follow, contact, whatever, there are the different ways. Which are, I'm basically posting on all of those, assuming YouTube doesn't continue to kick me off, because they did delete episode 7 because they're communists. There, if you want to make any donations, blah, blah, blah. There's all that stuff. So episode 10, I don't know when that will be. What is today? Thursday? maybe early next week. I'll probably post it same day once I know what I'm doing. Thank you for listening. God bless you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, or anything, I'm all ears. Send me a message or whatever. In the meantime, God bless you. Have a great weekend. Stay safe if you live somewhere where it's snowing. Even if you live somewhere where it isn't snowing, apparently it's snowing in Texas. So be careful wherever you are. Have a great weekend. Go Buckeyes. Let's go to the national championship and win.